Right. It's been a while since we've done a live. Turn the volume down. So we're here at Don Roger. They look at the whale tail, which I'll flip around shortly. Here to Don Roger. Ooh. Desayuno. Yeah, so I didn't really announce this live, and I haven't done one in 3 weeks, so maybe nobody will show up. I don't know. I'm here. And it's a funny thing. I figured out, I'm not sure I mentioned this before, but I kind of chose 7:15 a.m. for a time to do our little breakfast meetup. And I realized that back when I was working my 9 to 5 job back in the States, we had what we called Coffee Club, which was a bunch of us that got together at 7:15 a.m. every morning before work, and we wasted about half an hour, 45 minutes before we started working. Don't tell my former employer. But yeah, so subconsciously, I think that's why I I chose this time, 7:15 a.m. because I'm happy with friends, so friends from all over the world. So it's kind of cool. Although I'm not sure if anybody's going to join us today or not, but it's good practice for me being live. It's not as much pressure when there's no people here. But it's a rainy day here in Costa Rica. Let me throw you out to the whale tail. Sí, sí, puedo tener un típico con huevos de tomillo, eh, Pepe negro, todo listo. Gracias. So it's kind of a strange day here in Uvita. It's been raining since daylight, and it's also been a little bit bright. You can see patches of blue in the sky. So it's probably going to clear up later at some point. Of course, I'm not a weatherman, so yeah, the last few the last few mornings here, it's been rainy in the morning, which is messes up my schedule. When it rains in the afternoon, I'm fine with that because I usually get most of my stuff done in the morning. And I always like to laugh at the people that don't get up in time end up getting rained on. So when it rains first thing in the morning, it's harder to work around that when you have outside things to do. But the tide's pretty. It's not all the way up, but it's pretty close to high tide. So things here are pretty soggy. And I kind of gauge that a lot by my mountain biking trail that I ride on by in Bahia, and the standing water down in the puddles in one section. I can't go through it. It's just too high. But yeah, it's kind of not the traditional rainy season. We're usually not supposed to get as much rain as we've been getting, but I mean it does rain. So it's been a rainy June, July, and August is starting off pretty rainy. And I'm not sure what tropical front we're up to so far. Next time I come up here, I want to bring binoculars with me. I see something out there. I'm not sure if it's a boat or what. Towards the whale tail itself. And here within the next couple weeks, I'm going to do some more of the touristy type things. A bunny rabbit got loose here and was running all along the front here. I haven't heard from Don Roger the rooster. He hasn't crowed here yet. Maybe it's too cloudy for him to crow. I don't know. So there's a light rain here in Uvita. See some shades of blue out in the distance. And one thing that's growing here that my friend Lisa pointed out to me when we were here last week was there's a mamoni tree. I didn't realize that the mamoni, or I get in so much trouble for calling mamonis whatever what I do. I just call them when I go to buy them. at the stands. They call them mimones. So that's what I'm calling them. And, you know, they have a lot more official names and things. But go back to the story. There's a tree here. It's full of mimones, and I didn't realize the trees were so big. I thought they were just on like low bushes, but it seems a pretty big tree. Well, dog, how are things in Canada? No snow yet, I hope. But yeah, I can't believe it's August already. It's back in upstate New York. About mid-August, it would start to get chilly in the nights. And like in the middle of August, we had the county fair, and the nights of the county fair were always kind of like the first part of the year where it actually would start to get chilly at night. It's been a strange adjustment not having those type of seasons. And here in Costa Rica, you just have basically the temperature is the same. You just have different times when rain is different, rainfall is different. So you've got the different rainy seasons and dry seasons, and the corresponding tour seasons. Right now is actually a really good time to come to Uvita, in my opinion. I mean, you do have to, you're taking a risk that you might not have a rain-free experience, but you know, the whales are here in good numbers right now, like from middle of July. I'm not sure how long that goes, but it's a whale watching time right now. There's a lot of activity out there, and we don't have the high numbers of tourists here right now. Rainy and warm. It sounds like Costa Rica. I saw that in the States they had a really bad heat wave going through there. So it's actually cooler here in Costa Rica. Gracias. Morito. So I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to show you my new shirt I got at. Actually got. Oh, already? Oh, muchas gracias. Perfecto. Because my breakfast is ready too. So I got a new shirt at Walmart. Whereas it's got, see, it's got the birds on it. There's the breakfast right there. Muy rico, muy rico. So I'm going to turn you back to the ocean. And if you're just tuning in, it's raining here, a little bit rainy here in Uvita. You just have the feeling that the sun's going to come poking through. It's kind of rainy with a bright overcast, so it's amazing thing to look at. But not as out in it. Buenos dias, Costa Rica Chronicles from up on their new mountain home. November is a good time to to evacuate North America. Hola, Denny. It's always hot in Florida, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't have a. I've just got the mic on the computer, and, and yeah, I really need to improve my whole audio setup here. There's some different streaming softwares I need to play with. So the microphone is actually on the other side of the computer at the moment. But there is a way I can actually hook my computer to my Nikon camera, and I could use. I've got quality microphones I could be using. I just when I get to 1,000, it's a lot easier to do live streams. And I think the fact that it's raining is throwing some extra ambient noise into the mix. How's the video quality? Is that coming through all right? I'm monitoring on my iPad, but I have the volume down, so I can't hear the audio. But the video quality looks okay right here. Well, it does kind of tweak in and out from time to time. I'm really wishing, and I really wish that I brought my camera with me to my friends. My friends from Costa Rica Chronicles. They moved to a new place up above Ocotal, up in the mountains, and they got a flat tire. They were at their house, but one of their tires went flat, and it wouldn't take air, wouldn't hold air. So I went up there to help them bring the tire in, and it was a really cool ride. It would have been a really interesting story, going to pick up the tire and visiting my buddy Buford, the dog, and just seeing the new place. It's a beautiful place up there. They live up on the mountain, and they've got a really nice breeze there, and they don't have to deal with the humidity that they dealt with living down right in Bahia. But it is, when you live up in the mountains, it's not as easy to get into town. So, as they were saying, you have to calculate your trips to the grocery store, and you don't just casually like run into town like you would, like where I am, something at the store. I'll just either walk or hop in my car and go over. So I'm becoming kind of a city boy a little bit, because I used to live in a rural area. And I was like 15 minutes from town, which was a small town, and I was half an hour from any town with any real kind of like nightlife or like a Pizza Hut. It's funny how all my life decisions are affected by pizza availability and pizza consumption. So I finally got my merchandise store up, and right now I've just got two designs. I've got my Costa Rica Story logo, and I got a design that says "Lo siento, mi español no es bueno," and I've got that can be put on a lot of products. This is a whole new thing for me, so I'm taking it step by step. It's a learning experience. Good old Buford. Buford is a I'm not sure what Buford's breed is. He's pretty low to the ground, and he does not like doesn't like vultures. The Brownie's a pretty tough dog. He's pretty brave anyway. Is it raining up there in the mountain right now? It must be. You're not very far from where I am. So I was following some things on Facebook, and they're talking about there's been a lot of red tide coming in this area and down in Drake Bay, Capos. There was a post. There was 5 or 6 dead sea turtles from the red tide. Well, thank you very much, Danny. That means you have good taste. Not everybody has good taste. I appreciate that. And my logo it symbolizes a lot of different things to me because it's got the monkey on it because I've always been a fan of monkeys, and it's got the whale tail because the whale tail was kind of an inspiration to make me move to this area. I kind of had an obsession with that, just the look of it. And it's funny, when I go ride my bike through that area, there's just some kind of strange feeling down there. Some kind of, maybe it's in my head, I don't know. Probably is, but it's kind of like a magical place there. Not so much for me, not so much the beach where all the tourists are all the time, but just on some of the trails that go through there, and there's people that have like little small houses in there, little Tico houses. But don't tell Buford that he's miniature because he thinks he's 10 foot tall and bulletproof. So as you may have noticed, if you saw the last video I did, I got a 360-degree camera, and I know that a little goes a long way with that. So I was really interested to see what people had to say about it, and I am going to be just adding it a little bit, here and there. I actually I went to El Mercado, the farmer's market yesterday with it, but it's a hard thing to do because you look like an idiot. Yeah, I have to walk around holding this thing like it looks like I don't know how to describe it. It looks like I'm carrying a balloon around or something. But it makes me really self-conscious using it in public. But I guess it's just such a new kind of thing. It's just about the size of a GoPro. Yeah, I know what you mean about dizzy.
because when I'm editing it, it kind of gave me a stomach ache. Like I don't know, not necessarily vertigo, but just yeah, it was just I spent a lot when I edit stuff. I spend a lot of time tweaking things. So I'm just throw it in and here and there, or mix it with other footage. And the weird thing about using the 360 camera is that it captures everything in 360. So you've got that, and when you edit it, you can select what you want to focus on. So when I'm editing it, I can have it looking forward as I'm walking, or then I can spin it around and have it looking behind me as I'm walking. It's just kind of bizarre, and the way that it makes the selfie stick disappear, it's really some technology that kind of blows me away. But when I got that, I knew there's always a risk. Like, oh, you got a new piece of technology, you have to use it all the time. But no, I much prefer the look of stuff from my Nikon above all than the GoPro, and the 360 is just kind of a whole different element. And the 360 camera can be used to the extreme, where it looks like you're looking at the planet from space, or it can just a more practical way is just where it looks like a drone right overhead, like when I was in the car. That's kind of cool. But yeah, it definitely can be unwatchable. I mean, for any length of time. And I will be getting more skillful at editing it. Oh, there's Don Roger the Rooster. Is he going to be coming to Costa Rica with you, Leslie? I have to set up a play date with Buford. I actually here in Uvita, and I think Costa Rica in general, there's a lot of dogs that are just kind of free dogs. Not well, I don't know what you call them, just lost dogs. I was riding my bike in Bahia the other day, and I was headed up this hill, and I saw a dog up there kind of looking at me like it was waiting for him to get up there. And I'm like, oh, is this dog gonna bite me? Because it was, dog pays attention to you. It makes you a little bit leery. But so when I got closer to him, I got off my bike because I just wanted to be able to defend myself. But it was like he thought he recognized me. Maybe he thought it was somebody else, or I'm not sure what his deal was. But he had no collar, but he was well fed. And he came up to me, and he was a really nice dog, and I petted him a little bit, and then I tried to walk away from him, but he kept on following me. And I'm not in a position where I can take on a dog. I don't think I would even be allowed to have a dog where I'm staying, and the responsibility, I'm not ready for it. If I get a dog, to me it's a lifelong responsibility. So I'm like, I gotta find a way to separate myself from this dog. And the dog looked like he's been well fed, so I'm thinking his owner must be around somewhere. But so what I had to do, I felt bad for doing it, but I was on a hill and I had to just pedal as fast as I can to go down the hill. And he started chasing me for a while, and finally I pulled away. Oh, that's cool. Get one of those little carriers. That'll be interesting to see how he does on his first flight. Air travel seems to be getting more, I don't know, I guess not, well, I guess difficult in some ways, but I used to like to get on a plane every once in a while to go somewhere, but I guess when you're living somewhere where most people like to fly to, your incentive to get on a plane isn't as intense. But it's a real challenge for me making it back to my old hometown because there's no direct flights and it's really hard to find a flight that doesn't have a huge layover. I'm really not okay with a 8-hour layover these days. It's either you get a really long layover or they give you no time to make the flight. I'm really good at getting to where I need to get, running through the airports and all that. Except for my tendency to make stupid mistakes, like walking out of the secure area and have to go back through the security again, which I did with my last flight. I thought I was going to miss my flight because connection time was so close. But then I moved heaven and earth to get to the gate, and I got there just in time. And then I got on the plane, got in my seat, and took a deep breath. And they announced that the plane was going to be delayed for half an hour because there was a group of students that was on some kind of field trip in Costa Rica, and for them, they held the plane up for half an hour. So I really didn't have to rush. It would have been fine. But I don't know why they couldn't make it on time because I made it on time. Then the kid that sat next to me as we were flying, I had the light on, and he wanted me to turn the light off. So he said, "You mind if I turn your light off?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm using it." So yeah, air travel is interesting. People are funny on airplanes. There's like certain etiquette that I don't know. Some people follow, some people don't. I can remember this has happened to me a few times. The first time it happened to me, I said yes, and the thing was, there was a couple that came, and I was in my seat by a window, right, all comfortable and ready to go, and the girl comes up and says, "Will you mind switching seats with me? My husband's sitting up front, and I'm back here, and we want to sit together." And the first time that happened, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I got up and I had to like make my way through the airport, grab my bag, and get to the new place up front. And it wasn't a window seat; it was like in the middle. So after that time, anytime anybody asked me a question like that, I would make an exception if it was somebody that really needed to do it. But people do that; they'll ask you to change your seat for their convenience. Maybe they don't need to sit together there, in my opinion. Anyways, because it's something that I would never consider doing. I would never ask somebody to move their seat. It just seems, I don't know. I guess I was raised differently. But yeah, traveling to Costa Rica has got its challenges. Good morning, Senor Don. Are you in your office yet? Oh, it's too early for you to be in your office, but it is 5 o'clock somewhere. What's going on in WhatsApp? You got a WhatsApp group? I've never flown on WestJet. There's a couple of airlines that just merged. I think JetBlue and some other ones. And I think they have direct flights from Florida. Oh, that's awesome to fly direct. The last flight I booked was from New York City to San Jose. And when I booked it, it was direct, and they changed it to a connecting flight. They gave me the option to cancel it if I wanted to. But yeah, I lost the direct flight, but that must be awesome. Fly direct. So how long is the flight from Florida to San Jose? There's a lot of advantages for people that live in Florida coming here. And it isn't just like a quick flight. If you live in Florida, you're already used to humidity. You're already used to the heat. You're used to having geckos running around your house. You're a little bit, you're used to alligators, not crocodiles, but you got a few venomous things there in Florida. I'm from upstate New York where we get a cold freeze every year, so there was a lot of adaptations I had to make. But I'm now used to the geckos, but I still don't enjoy stepping in the gecko poop every once in a while. Oh, that's awesome. 3 hours. My friend Dean lives in Orlando. He's a great guitarist. I don't know, what do you call a guy that works on guitars? He builds guitars, and he's also involved in politics there in Orlando. Yeah, gecko poop. But it's funny. Every once in a while, I'll see one under the corner of my eye, and back in the States where I lived, every once in a while, a mouse will get into the house. So I see a gecko moving really fast. I'm like, oh, is that a mouse? And no, it's just a gecko. But it's funny how, I find geckos acceptable, but I did not like having mice in the house back in the States. And there has not been an issue with any kind of rodents where I've been here so far. Just ants, millipedes, a few scorpions, a few spiders, nothing big. But the Ormigas are many and very, very diverse in their species. There was a trail of them coming from the jungle to the corner of the upstairs balcony. But I don't know if they're like carpenter ants moving in there, or whether they're ants coming in and preying on some kind of other thing like a termite or something. So I know that things work different here in Costa Rica. If it was the States, it would automatically be carpenter ants, and that would be a problem. But I have to let my landlord know about it. But hopefully they won't spray some kind of poison. You have to pay extra to bring a dog, or does that count as your official carry-on? So the waitress at Fuego is a really beautiful dog named Mocha. And Mocha is super, super defensive of her. And for some reason, Mocha doesn't like me very much. And I was walking by him, and I happened to be between him and the waitress, and I put my hand down to let him sniff it, and he just like barked at me and let me know that no, you're not cool, dude. So I've had mixed experiences with dogs this week. So I had the dog that wanted to adopt me, and then I had the dog that wanted to kill me. How was their flight coming back from the U.S.? Oh, and speaking of dogs, Don, you were looking for a pet bed. Did you get a dog? You sent me a text once to know where they sell dog beds. Did you eventually find one? And do you have a new friend living with you? A new pet? And Don, you're on your third place, right? This is the third place that you've lived since you've been here in Costa Rica. You had your first temporary place, and you had Sasha's place, and you've got your place now across from the whale tail. So I've got to see my friend Josue tomorrow, and he's gonna look at my engine. I've got a funny sound going on with that. You know, a used car is a good deal in a lot of ways because you don't have to pay as much for a used car. I've got a 2008 Grand Vitara Suzuki, and it's a nice car. It's nice and solid, but I've had so many minor things I've had to do to that. I think I mentioned before in another video that I had water leaking into it, and it would pool up in the well in the back that holds the fire extinguisher right in the back hatch. There's like an indentation with a cover on it, and that would fill up with water. And I think I may have it problem solved. I had to Google it, but there's a little seam on the side that can let the water in. Good morning, Kim from Minnesota. Is Minnesota being affected by the heat wave too? There's been a lot of crazy things going on in the States between the floods in Kentucky and the heat wave. Here in Costa Rica, it's more about the rain and the quantity of it. I can see the tour boats starting to gather there. I think they're the tour boats out by the whale tail. And it stopped raining here. So I've lived here for well over a year, probably a year and 2 or 3 months. I still have not done a whale tour. So I'm making myself do this. It's funny when you live in an area with so many different things. Like, well, I can do that anytime. I can go see the whales anytime. I can do a video on the waterfall anytime. I've been to the waterfall here, but I've not done a video about it yet. And I would really like to do more videos where I don't have to spend so much time editing it. I don't know why I do that. I shoot so much stuff and I end up spending so much time editing. And I see other people that just, they just go through and they do the video, record it, then upload it basically. I was mentioning in my last video, like a lot of times when you have a YouTube channel, you're kind of like, well, is anybody actually paying attention? Does anybody really want to hear what you've got to say? And I've got a lot of positive feedback from people, giving me a lot of moral support about 2 different things going on in my life, and it's cool. I like the fact that the people that comment and hopefully the people that watch are just kind of positive, cool people. I've seen so much negativity on some YouTube channels. I was mentioning before that in certain parts of this area and Drake Bay and Capos, and here in Uvita, there's been some sightings of a red tide. And I'm not really sure what that looks like. But there's a Facebook group that does report of that, and somebody was saying that they found in the last 48 hours they found 5 dead sea turtles, the green sea turtles. Yeah, here there's been a lot more rain than last year. And for the last couple of months. But usually it's been confined to mostly like in the afternoon and through the night. That's when the most quantities have been coming. But this week, since August, it's every morning it's been a little rainy. But it's cleared up now pretty good. I mean, that cleared up. It stopped raining. The sky's still overcast. Okay, so the red tide looks like an oily slick. Is it always red, or is it? It can be. You don't. It doesn't necessarily have to be red, right? Something I'd like to get more information on. Maybe I'll. There's a Facebook group I joined that talks about that. Maybe I'll talk to one of the people in charge of that. I think one of the in Oceana. I can't remember how to pronounce that. Oceana. There's a group that kind of monitors the ocean and takes care of things. Let's see if I can talk to them about it. Maybe do a video. That would be a worthwhile thing to do a video about. Yeah, I can't afford a dog either. Well, I think that's pretty cool that you're kind of providing a little bit of a support network to a lot of people coming here. A lot of people that are coming with Sarah Elena and her relocation service. So there is a mamoni tree here, a mamoni bush. Well, it's more of a tree because it's pretty big. I always visualize them being like the size of a tomato plant, but the trees are pretty big. Yeah, there's a woman, and she used to live here in Uvita, and she lives in Tico now. Her name is Sarah Elena, and she has a lot of. I was watching a lot of her videos when I started thinking about moving to Costa Rica, and at the time she had just started her relocation service, and that service has evolved quite a bit. But she's got a lot of helpful information about moving, and she helped me find my place, my initial place. Well, my initial place is it's still where I am. In my mind, when I picked a place, I was going to be there for 3 or 4 months. That was going to be my initial place, but it's where I still am. And she's got Augustina who works for her, who's kind of the boots in the ground in this area now, and she actually gave me a selection of places, and this was the one that she recommended just because she knew what I was looking for. But yeah, LaSarahElena.com. I think that's her web address, but she's also on Facebook too. I can put a link in the description afterwards if I can remember. But she's super duper nice. Yeah, and Don used her to move here. Don Morrow, who's commenting in the comments right now, and he's actually one of the things he's involved in a lot of the Zoom calls they do. They do like conference calls with people preparing to move, and he's graciously volunteered to help a lot of people when they get here. I mean, he's been here a while himself, but he remembers what it was like to be the new guy on the block. So Well, that must be kind of cool, but you have to tune into your security camera. So do you have people watch your house while you're gone, or do you rent it out? I mean, that's always the big fear I hear from people that have property here. They're afraid to leave because you could lose your property if you're not careful. So I'm thinking about doing Hey Doug, how's it going? You missed it. Don Roger the rooster was just crowing here about 10 minutes ago, but it's been raining here and it just stopped. I can see the tourist boats are all lined up waiting to pick up their clients to take them out whale watching out to the islands. Yeah, so I still haven't got the surfing lessons lined up yet. I really need to get better with my time management. I got so many different things going on, which is good. But yeah, I've got two of those Nest cams with me, but I'm not using them. My landlord's got security cameras of his own. I'm in a pretty secure place where I am right now. That's one of the things that's prevented me from having the courage to move to a new place. I need to experiment with a different microphone and camera. I'm thinking of doing kind of an impromptu live from the Whaletail Brewery. Yeah, that would be a hard thing to rent out a place that you actually live in for any length of time. Because people, I mean, you can get lucky, but I think my family members have had property they rented out, and I tell you what, those tenants can really be really, really bad. They can do some damage. I think the best tenant to have is somebody that has actually owned their own house and knows how hard it is to keep the property up. That's one thing the girl I was dating before was always saying, "You're crazy to be paying money for rent. You should buy some property and then you own the house. But it's sometimes the house ends up owning you. That's kind of how it was with my old place in upstate New York. There's so many expenses involved for the house, and then in the states, especially in New York State, the taxes every year are crazy. And I know the taxes here aren't as bad, but it was never anything I was enthusiastic about. Who knows what the future will bring. I think it would be a great episode that I've been thinking about doing a zip lining thing. I don't know. I just don't like those harnesses they put on you. They look like they're very constraining. Yeah, I don't know. That would be crazy if I used the 360 cam on that, but I think I would just go with a GoPro. So when's your family coming? I can't believe how fast this year is going. We're already in August. Augusto. Mes de Augusto. There's so many things that are on my priority list. One of them is to go up to my friend Daynier's coffee plantation and spend 3 or 4 days up there because it's kind of remote up there, and I'd like to document the his coffee tour that he does. And if anybody out there has never met Daynier yet, he's usually there at El Mercado Bahia Medina, and he speaks perfect English, and he's just such a cool guy. He's like a Pura Vida example. I also met somebody that I was following on Facebook for a long time, and I've always admired the things that he does, his work, and he does a lot of things with the community and with helping the kids, like surfing camp, and he does things crime prevention. He's just such a active member of the community. He's in Dominican. His name's Pepe Lopez. He has a brand of it's I don't know, it's a salsa. It's called Spicy Life, and you can get it at the BM Market. But he does these really cool little mini commercials. Spicy Life, and he's got this really crazy hair. But anyways, I saw him walking through the BM Market. He was going to stock his Spicy Life salsa, and I said Spicy Life, and he looked around, and he knew me because he followed me on YouTube, and we follow each other on Facebook, and he was just such a cool guy, such a genuine person. I definitely need to do an episode featuring Pepe Lopez. He knows so much about a lot of different things too, and he's a great businessman and promoter. Costa Rica Chronicles, was telling me that they got a glimpse of some kind of cat up there, some kind of wild cat, which would be pretty cool to see. I saw a video on Facebook um, from somebody that was down in Corcovado, and they were walking on a path, and there's this little girl, and she looks over to the left, and there's a full-grown cougar, like puma cougar. That would have scared the jeepers out of me, I think. But every once in a while, I'll see tracks around here. Like, what is that? The people that put up trail cams usually get a lot of interesting images. Yeah, I'd like to see a jungle cat, but that cougar, wow. The cougar didn't look like it was afraid. It would look like it was stalking him. But there's so many different kinds of cats. I was reading about them, and there's some of them that are like the size of a house cat. It'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to see it. I would definitely like to see any cat like that. And Corcovado is another place I haven't been to yet, and I haven't done the Serpe River tour. And one of my Facebook friends keeps inviting me to come and go, and I need to do that. So it would be a great video. There's always monkeys. There's Don Roger the rooster. Yeah, he's in Dominical, yeah. Yeah, sometimes he's got a lot of excitement. The first thing I ever noticed about Pepe was in Dominical, somebody was just, they were piling garbage somewhere, and, just being irresponsible about it. And he just went in there and took care of it and cleaned things up. Nobody paid him to do it. He was just like, no, this isn't going to happen in my community. And he's done his best to deter the crime that's going on with people getting their cars broken into, but he just doesn't get enough community support. The momentum kind of seems to fade on these things, but breaking into other cars is a constant thing. You see that all the time. Somebody will post on Facebook that they left their laptop in their car and their camera, and then they went to the beach, and then it was gone, and they're surprised it was gone. It's like when you go to the beach, you just don't leave anything in your car. I mean, not even a pair of cheap sunglasses, not even change on your console, because you just need an excuse to break in. And also, I don't use the thing in the back of my trunk that makes, not my trunk, but the back section of my car that you can cover stuff up with. I just make sure that that's visible, so if anybody peeks in the window, you can they can see that there's nothing there. And you know what? One thing I've noticed, I've actually seen this on my car, that you can see a little bit of a spot where on a window sometimes, if somebody has been peeking in your car, because if somebody puts their head right up on your window, it'll leave a mark there. So people are looking. It's a crime of opportunity, so you just have to not give them the opportunity. I've been pretty lucky so far, knock on wood. Yeah, I love a lot of the people here that have their own businesses. That's why with a lot of my videos, I like to showcase some of the businesses because it works out good for tourists coming here. They get to experience some of these places and these businesses and services, and it helps these businesses stay alive because it's not an easy thing having a small business anywhere. In Costa Rica, there's so many different variables that can happen. But it's kind of a magical light out there. And so Pepe Lopez is hard to explain in words, but I'll definitely do an episode featuring Pepe. He's got so much energy. Another thing that has happened here in Costa Rica that may or may not affect anybody listening, but if it affects you, you probably already know the retevi, or the inspection of vehicles, is changing. The people that do it is changing, so there's going to be a big mess with that because there's going to be a backlog of vehicles that need to get inspected. They're already giving people extra time to do it. Like next year, I think they're giving me an extra month, and I'm April or May, I think, is when I get mine done. But the company that currently does it is no longer doing it. I think she's going to have to start kicking you back some colonies for your assistance on that page. Those Zoom calls aren't always a lot of fun. Most of the people are pretty cool, but every once in a while there's somebody on there that just seems to be such a bummer. And I'm talking about Sarah Elena's got a relocation service, and she has a Zoom call, and there's people that ask questions about moving to Costa Rica, and they ask each other questions, and they ask Sarah questions. And Don was on there when he was back in Canada, and now that he's moved here, he still goes on the calls and helps out. He's kind of like a alumnus that goes back and helps out the old school. But it's funny because I did use Sarah's relocation service. There's a group of us that kind of moved at the same time. We all kind of keep in touch. Most of us keep in touch. There's some of us that kind of have fallen to the wayside, but yeah, most of us keep in touch, and we're scattered throughout Costa Rica here. Yeah, I had to go through a second pass for my Retevi. Two of my tires didn't pass, so I had to have new tires, and there was something else I had to have done. I can't remember what that was. Yeah, it was something silly and stupid, and I'm sure there were other worse things on my car they could have found, but they give you a list of things that are critical that you have to fix, and they give you a list of things that you probably should fix, but they're not making you fix. Like, for instance, my car does not have backup lights, but backup lights aren't mandatory. So they said, that was one of the things they said I should. They recommend that I have, and I actually wish I did have, but I don't. But I have my mechanic close way take it in for me, and that makes things go a lot faster. Muchas gracias. It really is turning into a beautiful day. You can hear the Mono Congo off in the distance. There is a Mamoni tree here. I said I would point it out. I'm not sure how good the laptop can zoom into it, but yeah, I wouldn't have noticed this tree here if it wasn't for my friend Lisa who pointed it out. I guess there's quite a delay here. It's raining again and up on the mountain. So the Mamoni tree is in the lower left. So I've got like about a 10 or 15 second delay here. I think most people buy the car here, but I know that if the car is the right age, there's like a sweet spot for like how new a car is to make it worthwhile to ship. I was talking to the people from Get It There, Jerry. They do shipping. They actually ship the pallet for me. But yeah, that's a whole episode I should probably do. But yeah, I bought my car through Facebook Marketplace, and I moved to this spot here because it has the Mamoni tree. I show you exactly where that is. That's it's on the left side, right above that grassy looking stuff or the corn looking stuff. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when you're trying to go through immigration. You get it every time you have a different person. They have whole different requirements of what to do. Like when you do the Panama border run. Not so much with Costa Rica, but Panama, big time. One of the challenges buying a car here is that it's anybody that I know who knows anything about cars admits the fact that most, I don't know if this is true. They say a lot of the cars, I'm not going to say most, I'll say a lot of the cars have their odometers rolled back. So, you could say it's got 100,000 kilometers on it. It could have 200,000 kilometers on it. I actually had a car dealer. I was looking at um, a Nissan Xterra, and it had like 250,000. I thought it was kilometers at first, but it was miles. And I was like, yeah, that's way too much for me. He goes, well, what's the big deal? It'll go for 1 million. And he says, well, I can roll the odometer back. It's no big problem. That's what you're worried about. That was just my jaw just dropped. I was like, no, gracias. He was mad. He was mad. I offered him like half what he was asking after that, and he was like totally insulted. He must have been selling it on consignment because I couldn't imagine him buying that. But I did a Carfax on it, and it originated in New Jersey, and that's in New Jersey. It had like 250,000 miles, and it had a little bit of rust underneath it, and it was probably because it was in Jersey, where it's all on the roads. Because it's amazing here. Sometimes I've seen Toyotas from the 1980s that are not rusted at all. It's just incredible. Yeah, it's nice to be able to have a mechanic that you trust check out your vehicle before you buy it. I've got a guy here in Bahia that really knows his cars, and then I've got my friend Josue over in Perez, San Isidro area that he actually checked out my car before I bought it. And he found a few things that had to get taken care of. Oh, and one issue I ran into when I bought my car was we agreed on a price, and then after the transaction had taken place, everything was final. All the papers were signed and all that. A couple days later, they texted me back and they said that the exchange rate that we used wasn't right. And what I think was the exchange rate fluctuates from day to day, and they're the ones that calculated it because I paid in cash, and I just paid them exactly what their calculation was. And, they were like it was like $120 or something like that difference. I said, I think I'm good. I think the deal's pretty good. I think we should be happy with what we got. And like he was really polite when he was when he told me that he was requesting that, and then afterwards he just kind of got nasty. So it's funny what money does to people. He seemed like it was like a really nice couple, but they were just like they just wanted that. You know, it was just such a small amount in the big scheme of things. Wow. And it's funny how a mechanic can look at a vehicle and kind of do some forensic examination of a vehicle and see how much, how many miles are on there. Like certain things have been replaced, and if you've seen enough vehicles, I guess you get the feel for it. Oh yeah, those flood cars. That's where the Carfax is really good. I think a Carfax would spot that type of issue. You would think, because they get quite a few of the details of what a car's been through, and it wasn't really that expensive. Actually, I didn't do a Carfax for the vehicle that I got, but there's two different. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of vehicles, but you can get a vehicle that is a Costa Rica car that's been in Costa Rica its whole life, and you can get a car that is imported from the States or somewhere else. One of the ways you can tell is if the speedometer is in miles, or the odometer is in miles, and the speedometer is in miles, that it may be from the U.S. If it's just kilometers, then probably what didn't come from the United States. But I've been pretty happy with my car for the most part. It's a 2008 Suzuki Grand Vitara. I really didn't want to get a Grand Vitara because there's so many Grand Vitaras here. It's just like the generic car of gringos living in Costa Rica. But it is that for a reason, and it's been a pretty reliable car. Well, there's been a lot of minor things I've had to deal with, and I guess that goes with an older car. But one thing that's somewhat problematic with it is it's very hard to change the oil filter on it. So if somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, they have to mangle the filter to get it off. I've had two different people change it, and the one guy just didn't. He had to call in another mechanic to try to get it off. It's because Suzuki put it in a really bad spot. It's hard to access. Yeah. Mamoncino. I'm still calling I'm still calling it Mamoni because it's easier for me to pronounce. But yeah, and I didn't realize it was that until my friend Lisa pointed it out, because last week they were all green and now they're starting to turn a little bit red. But that must be quite a challenge getting up there to pick them. I tell you what, the price on those really fluctuates. Like a 1 liter bag, when they first came out like a couple of months ago, when they first started coming out again, they were charging like $2,500, and now it's down to $1,500 here in Uvita. And I was in Golfito like last month, and they were coming around house to house selling for